Since time immemorial, man has been on an eternal quest to know oneself. But why is this quest important in the first place? It's because if we do not understand the process through which we make meaning of ourselves and the world, we will lack the clarity to use our skills effectively. Defining oneself is an integral part of all the philosophies of the world. In the East, we have Vedic scriptures, the Yoga Sutras, and Buddhist traditions that focus on the subject. In the West, the dominant idea of scientific proof and validation took over with the birth of psychology as a major field of study. Freud approached looking into one's own mind from a scientific perspective. This became more prominent in the work of Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. Having studied and referenced the Vedas and Upanishads in his work, Jung had a deep appreciation of the wisdom of the East. At its extreme, this journey led to the birth of Skinnerian behaviorism, which shrugs off any attempt to understand the self. It is only concerned with behaviors that are to be operationally conditioned to control the behaviors one wants the other to exhibit. Some of the recent advancements in psychology have emerged from meaningful engagements with Buddhist and yogic traditions. Dialogues with the Dalai Lama and a deep study of the Bhagavad Gita have informed the emerging practices of psychology. And despite all of this, Western psychology is mired in the question of consciousness. It is a chicken and egg situation. How did consciousness emerge? Is it a result of the brain and mental processes, or is it the other way around? The Eastern tradition, unlike the West, posits the primacy of consciousness and considers it the substratum of all existence and therefore of human intelligence. When subjectivity becomes valued, one's sense of self doesn't need any validation from anchors outside. The Eastern tradition offers a range of methods to understand the self without getting caught up with theories and other forms of self-deception. The Mahabharata is one such powerful and evocative tool to mirror and observe yourself, and this book draws its framework from the epic to bring out your heroic potential. In essence, this book asks the question, how can you discover the best that you can be? Through the story of the 5 Pandava heroes who won the battle of Kurukshetra to reclaim their kingdom, we will examine each of the Pandavas as an archetype of a particular power. When seen through an Indian lens, a story is never linear. The journey never ends with a happily ever after. It is more complicated than that. Even though the Pandavas win, they also pay for the expedient choices they made. The journey of a hero in the Mahabharata is an inner journey, where the impediments to the unfolding of one's true self are identified to be dissolved. And when that happens, the person's actions reflect divine intelligence. You are free to draw your own lessons from these stories and the discussions. However, you should be aware of this. The evocations, provocations, and internal dialogues that get triggered by the stories all reflect your own psyche. There is no single truth out there. How you define yourself is not just your truth, but also a reflection of who you are. While examining the Pandava heroes and drawing out lessons that would be relevant today, we will draw upon Carl Jung's ideas of archetype and shadow. What is an archetype? The idea of an archetype was popularized by Jung, who used it to describe the patterns of behavior held deep in a person's mind. These unconscious patterns determine the ways in which people perceive their world and shape their identity. For simplicity's sake, I will use the masculine pronoun to describe these archetypes, although archetypes are universal and transcend gender boundaries. These patterns have a